What if every morning wasn't just the start of another routine, but the moment that could change your entire life? What if the secret to inner peace and clarity wasn't found in motivation or morning hacks but in a 2,000-year-old philosophy? And what if the first step to transforming your day wasn't adding anything, but simply remembering one raw, overlooked truth? You could die today. Have you ever woken up and felt like you're stuck in an endless loop? The alarm buzzes, you grab your phone, a scroll through emails, headlines, group chats. Then it's a blur: coffee, clothes, commute, and the grind begins. Deadlines chasing you, expectations weighing you down. Another day that looks eerily like the one before. It's like you're living on autopilot, and mornings feel like faded photocopies of each other. But it doesn't have to stay that way. There's a philosophy tested through centuries that helped emperors stay grounded, warriors remain unshaken, and everyday people find peace in chaos. It's called Stoicism, not empty Instagram quotes, but practical, powerful principles that train you to master your mind, control your emotions, and move with intention, even when life spins out of control. In this video, you'll walk through 12 Stoic meditations not to passively hear, but to wake up with. Each one is like a cold splash of water for your mind, a gentle slap that pulls you out of the mental fog, a reminder that you don't have to drift through life, you can choose how to live it. By the end, you won't start your mornings numb, reactive, or anxious. You'll start with clarity, presence, and an inner strength you might not have known was there. So don't look away. Number 1. Remember you could die today. You open your eyes. Your phone lights up, a work email, a missed payment, someone's hot take on social media. You jump up and start moving. But you miss the most crucial truth of the morning. You're still alive. That sounds simple, obvious even, but it's actually extraordinary, and we treat it like background noise. Remember, you could die today isn't a grim warning. It's a shift in perspective. It's like watching a sunset. You pay attention, not because it lasts, but because you know it won't. Life is the same, but we move through it like we're promised tomorrow. Picture this: you're sitting next to your father, or your best friend, or your partner. They're talking, but you're scrolling, distracted. You give half answers, half smiles. But if you really knew this was the last time you'd sit with them, how would that moment change? Every glance would be etched in memory, every word would carry weight. Not because anything big happened, but because you chose to be present. Something strange happens when we come face to face with death. We live more clearly. A friend of mine survived a motorcycle crash. As he lay bleeding on the pavement, he didn't think about deadlines or money. He thought about how he snapped at his wife that morning over coffee. That tiny moment suddenly meant everything. Now, he never leaves the house without saying "I love you." Not from fear, but because he finally sees. Seneca once wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life." This isn't about being morbid, it's about being deliberate. It means complaining less about traffic, sending that message you've been putting off, not postponing dreams as if you're promised next year. So tomorrow morning, give yourself just 30 seconds. Ask, if today were the last, who would I want to see? What would I want to say? What's one thing I'd never want to repeat again? Write down one thing, just one. Then do it. Not to impress anyone, not to chase legacy, but so that if life ends unexpectedly, you won't meet it with regret. And from that mindset, we move into the next truth, one that will challenge how you see silence, solitude, and your own strength. Ready? In the last meditation, we talked about living with the awareness that life isn't guaranteed, that every day could be your last. When you carry that truth with you, something begins to shift inside. You stop rushing through the day and start paying attention. Not just to the big things, but to the ordinary, everyday details you once overlooked. And that's where we begin. Number 2. Appreciate what you already have. Every morning, you wake up and within minutes, your mind is already racing. You check your phone. Someone just posted photos from their vacation in Europe. Another just bought a new car. Someone else announced a promotion, and without even realizing it, you've already started the day in deficit mode. It's not just a lack of sleep anymore. Now it feels like a lack of status, a lack of luck, a lack of success. If it's not money you're missing, it's the version of life you think you're supposed to be living. But have you ever paused, truly paused, to ask yourself, what do I already have right now? You woke up, your eyes opened, you can see, you can move. There's someone you can message if you need help. You still have hands to hold that phone you're scrolling. Isn't that already more than most people in the world? Gratitude isn't a cliche. It's not about lighting a candle and humming in lotus position. It's not some fluffy, feel-good idea. In today's world where you're constantly told you're behind, you're missing out, you need more. Gratitude is a survival skill. Gratitude is remembering what it felt like to be sick, feverish, alone, with no one to call. It's realizing, as you eat dinner tonight, that your lights are still on. The internet isn't lagging. Your stomach isn't aching, and for once, the silence is peaceful. It's taking a bite of food and quietly thinking, yeah, life's not so bad after all. There's a line Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his private journal, not for the world to read, but for himself. A quiet reminder to return to what really matters. He wrote, "Do not set your mind on things you do not possess, as if they were already yours, but count the blessings you actually possess and consider how much you would long for them if they were gone." Think about that for a second. If you lost everything today, your health, your home, your freedom, would you still treat what you have now as casually as you do? I once met a man named Daniel. He was a mechanic, living in a small suburb. Most people would call his life ordinary. But one day, while tightening bolts on a customer's car, he shared something I'll never forget. "I used to dream about being the boss," he said. "Then I got into an accident, broke my leg, couldn't walk for 3 months. Now, I just want to get up, drive myself to the shop, sip coffee, and yell at the air compressor when it dies. That's enough." His voice wasn't bitter. It was calm, peaceful, like someone who finally understood what most of us miss. So, how do you start building this kind of gratitude? It's simple. Tonight, before bed, take a moment. Look around your room. Pick one thing, just one you'd really miss if it were gone tomorrow. Your mattress, the AC, a favorite book on your nightstand, the glow of a lamp. Then ask yourself, did I live today as if I was grateful for that? You don't need to journal, just pause. Feel it. And tomorrow morning, if you woke up and everything you had disappeared, what would you miss the most? Drop a comment below. What's something you used to take for granted, but now recognize as a blessing? And if you ever forget how much you already have, if you ever feel like you're falling behind, come back here. Rewatch this, because maybe, just maybe, you're not lacking. You've just forgotten what matters. Now let's move on to the next meditation, where we challenge the way you see progress, discomfort, and the hidden power of loneliness. In the last reflection, we explored gratitude not as a feel-good emotion, but as a grounded survival skill in a world obsessed with more. Now let's take that one step further. Let's talk about how letting go of the noise can bring you closer to what really matters. Number 3, simplicity is freedom. Take a look around. How many of the things you've bought recently were actual necessities? A new gadget, another outfit, that third coffee mug with a motivational quote. Often, We buy not because we need, but because we feel something is missing inside. A quiet, vague emptiness we're too afraid to face. So we fill it with things, with clutter, with more. But the more we accumulate, the more we chase, the emptier we feel. It's a strange paradox. The fuller our lives get on the surface, the more disconnected we become beneath it. The more we cram into our mind's notifications, tasks, comparisons, the less space we have to actually feel. To the Stoics, simplicity isn't about lacking. It's about choosing. Choosing clarity over chaos. Choosing peace over pressure. Choosing to hold only what truly matters, so that your hands and your heart can finally breathe. Imagine your mind as a desk. Every day, you toss more on it. Unread emails, unfinished to-dos, headlines, endless social media scrolls, other people's opinions. By evening, the desk is buried. No room to think, no room to breathe. Is simplicity, then, isn't just minimalism. It's not a design trend. It's a survival tactic. A clean desk is easier to work at. A clear mind is easier to live with. Sometimes, simplifying your life is as small as not replying to that text right away. Canceling plans you never wanted to say yes to in the first place. Saying no to another urgent request that doesn't align with your priorities. A person who lives simply isn't lacking, they're liberated. They've made peace with what matters. They're not racing to do everything, because they've chosen the few things that bring them meaning. They understand this truth. The more options you have, the more fragmented your freedom becomes. Seneca once wrote, "He is a great man who uses earthenware dishes as if they were silver." Why? Because greatness isn't measured by luxury but by awareness. A great mind treats the simple as sacred, not because it doesn't know wealth, but because it refuses to be ruled by it. Think back to the last time you felt overwhelmed. Was it because life was too demanding? Or was it because you were trying to carry too many things at once? Mentally, emotionally, physically? Try this. What if you removed just one must from your day? What if you didn't chase 5 goals, but focused on 3 real priorities? Here's a quiet truth we rarely speak aloud. The people who seem to have everything often feel the most trapped. Meanwhile, those who live with less but with intention are the ones who sleep deepest, laugh hardest, and walk with the lightest step. Because freedom isn't found in more. It's found in knowing what to let go of. And if you don't learn to let go, you'll stay scattered, pulled in a dozen directions, thinking you're making choices when in fact, you're just reacting, following momentum instead of intention. So ask yourself, can you truly say you're in control if you haven't first defined what is and isn't within your power? Which brings us to the next essential principle of Stoicism: control what you can. Because while you can't stop the storm, you can carry an umbrella. And sometimes, that simple act makes all the difference. In the previous reflection, we touched on a powerful truth. Learning to control what you can and letting go of what you can't is the foundation of real peace. But there's more to this principle than meets the eye. Because when you master this mindset, what you're really claiming is freedom. Number 4. Control what you can. Let go of the rest. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Read that again. Not by fighting harder, not by dominating others, but by simply learning not to carry what was never yours to hold. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want, whenever you want. It's the opposite. It's not being ruled by what you can't change. To truly understand this, let me tell you a story. Jack is a single father. He works long hours as a delivery driver, juggling late nights and school drop-offs. One evening, after a grueling 12-hour shift, just as he was about to clock out. A customer canceled an order last minute. Just like that, he lost $200. He was furious. The kind of frustration that boils in your chest. He picked up his phone, ready to call, ready to argue, to unleash everything he was feeling. But at that exact moment, his daughter ran up to him and hugged his legs. "Daddy, you're home. I've been waiting for you." He looked at her, then at the phone, then back at her, and without saying a word, he put the phone down, scooped her up, smiled, and said, "I'm starving. Let's eat." It's not that he wasn't angry, it's that he chose what mattered most in that moment. He didn't let a stranger's decision ruin his evening. He didn't let a lost paycheck steal the memory he could make with his daughter. That simple choice, one shift in response, reshaped not just his night, but a moment she'll probably remember for life. That's real control. That's freedom. So, how do you build this in your own life? Start small. Every time you feel frustration creeping in, pause, breathe, and ask, can I do anything about this right now? If the answer is no, don't fight it. Don't bottle it up either. Just let it go. Like setting down a heavy backpack you've carried for way too long. Not because you gave up, but because you're choosing not to bleed for something you can't fix. Be like Jack. Choose your reaction like someone in charge of their life. And if this message resonates, don't wait for a prompt to hit like. Do it because you choose to, because it's one small thing you can control right now. Now let's take this even further. Number 5. Don't waste your life on other people's opinions. You're walking into work. It's Monday. You're wearing your favorite shirt. You feel good, comfortable, confident. The elevator doors open. A co-worker glances at you, smirks, and says, "That shirt's bold." It's just one comment, but suddenly, it's all you can think about. You spend the next hour tugging at the sleeves, checking your reflection, wondering, did I go too far? What are people saying? Was this a mistake? And just like that, you've handed over the reins of your self-worth, all for a comment someone probably forgot 5 minutes later. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." We're wired this way. It's ancient. In prehistoric times, being kicked out of the tribe meant certain death. So pleasing others wasn't just emotional, it was survival. But guess what? You're not living in a cave anymore. No one's exiling you from society because you wore plaid pants or mismatched socks. The world will keep spinning. Here's a simple picture to keep in mind. Opinions are like the weather. Some days it's sunny, other days it rains, sometimes it storms. You can't stop the rain, but you can bring an umbrella. You can choose how you respond. So next time someone says something that stings, try this. Pause, just 5 seconds. Ask yourself, do I admire how this person lives? If the answer is no, then you already know what to do. Let it pass like weather, because the opinion only has power if you hand it over. And in the next meditation, we'll explore a deeper layer of this, what it really means to build self-worth from within, not through noise, but through stillness. In the last section, we explored how other people's opinions can quietly steer your life if you're not careful. But there's another trap we fall into, not just caring too much about what people think, but constantly reacting to everything they say or do. Number 6, let it go and keep moving in line with your values. A close friend once shared something that stuck with me. He said, "I always wanted to start a YouTube channel teaching guitar. I had the gear, the skills, and even the ideas ready. But for 2 full years, I never posted a single video." Why? He was terrified of people laughing at him, afraid someone would comment, "You suck." Then one day, something in him snapped. He looked at himself in the mirror and said, "I'm 30 years old, and I'm still scared of strangers on the internet. People he didn't even know. People whose names he wouldn't remember 5 minutes later. So he hit record. Posted his first video. And it wasn't great. But that didn't matter, because he finally did it. And today, that same channel has almost 100,000 subscribers. He didn't suddenly become a genius. He didn't find some secret trick. He just stopped living for the approval of people who didn't matter. The Bible puts it simply, for, am I now seeking the approval of man, or of God, or am I trying to please man? You don't have to be religious to feel the weight of that question. The point is clear. What truly matters is the direction you're walking in, not how many people are clapping while you do it. Because when you stop giving weight to every opinion, a new question arises. Does every comment, every insult, every slight really deserve your reaction? Some attacks only land because we raise our shield. But what happens when we stop raising it altogether? You might be surprised. Number 7. Not everything needs a reaction. You're scrolling through social media. You see a snarky comment under your latest post. Your fingers twitch. You're already drafting the perfect comeback in your head. Something clever, something sharp. You're ready to strike. But what if, in that very moment, you chose not to? What if you just let it pass? That's not weakness. That's Stoic strength in action. The truth is, most of the daily slights we experience don't require any response, but we're conditioned to think they do. Someone cuts us off in traffic, and our blood boils. A co-worker interrupts us mid-sentence, and we seethe for hours. Someone leaves us unseen, and we spiral into doubt and frustration. But what if you did nothing? Epictetus, one of the great Stoic minds, said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. In other words, no one gets inside your head without permission. They may knock, but you're the one opening the door. Here's a mental image. Imagine your emotions as buttons on a remote. Anger, insecurity, frustration. People will push, poke, and jab. But here's the secret: you're the one holding the remote. Only you decide what gets turned on. That's not weakness, that's mastery. And even neuroscience backs this up. When you react instantly, your brain's amygdala takes over. That's your survival alarm system. But if you pause, even for just a few seconds, your prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, has time to kick in. One breath, one mental step back. That's all it takes to shift from impulse to intention. So next time someone triggers you, count down from 5. Not just to calm down, but to create space. Because in that space, you find choice, and in choice, you find freedom. Because real freedom isn't saying or doing whatever you want. It's knowing that no one else controls what happens inside of you. React less, breathe more, live on your terms. Let others play their games. You've got your own path to walk. And if you're still here, you've already crossed a powerful threshold. We're now halfway through this journey. 12 Stoic Meditations to wake you up, refocus your mind, and remind you of the strength you've always had. In the next meditation, we'll dive into something deeply personal: how your true identity isn't built by others' expectations but by the quiet standards you set for yourself. Number 8. Live in the present. Let me ask you this: have you ever been sitting at the table, spoon in hand, cereal in front of you, but your mind is already halfway through the day? You're thinking about the midday meeting, the tight deadline, the groceries you need to grab, the laundry you forgot to fold, and that one call you keep postponing to your mom. And then, before you know it, your bowl is empty. You don't even remember chewing. The moment has come and gone, and you weren't really there for any of it. That's how many of us live. We rush through life like it's a draft version, like the real version starts after this task is finished, after this week ends, once things finally calm down. But here's the Stoic truth. This isn't a draft. This isn't rehearsal. This is it. Right here, right now. This breath. This moment. This is the only piece of time you ever actually own. Stoicism doesn't say, don't plan. Of course you should plan. But it warns, don't sacrifice the present by living entirely for the future. Don't lose yourself in the pursuit of a tomorrow that hasn't even arrived. The past, that's like a cake already baked. You can't unmix the batter. The future, it's like scratching a lottery ticket. You might win, you might not. But no amount of worry will change the outcome. The only thing you hold in your hands is now. So the question is, what are you going to do with it? I once saw a man probably in his 50s waiting at a red light. Everyone around him was hunched over their phones, swiping, typing, scrolling. But he just stood there, eyes closed, shoulders relaxed, taking deep, deliberate breaths. Maybe only for 30 seconds, but in that time, he was completely, fully there, a rock in the middle of a rushing river. That small moment stuck with me. I couldn't stop thinking about how rare that kind of presence is in a world that never stops moving. And how many times I've stood at the same red light, mind racing like a monkey in a cage, caught in thought loops, rehearsing arguments, imagining future worries. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A limit of time is fixed for you, which if you do not use for clearing away the clouds from your mind, it will go and you will go and it will never return." Let that sink in. It's not that you lack time. You're just spending it worrying about things beyond your control. So how do you begin to live in the present? Here's something simple, but powerful. Before you leave the house each morning, look at one ordinary object: a doorknob, a coffee mug, a power socket, and ask yourself, it's here, am I? That 1-second pause might be the most awake you feel all day. Or try setting a silent reminder every 3 hours. When it goes off, stop whatever you're doing, take 3 slow breaths, then gently say to yourself, I'm here. That's it. You've just reclaimed a piece of your life. And if you're still uncomfortable with empty moments, those seconds when there's no goal to chase, no task to check off, maybe it's because you've been taught to believe that stillness equals wasted time. But the truth, stillness is the gateway to clarity. The real challenge isn't doing more. It's stopping and not feeling like you're falling behind. Because when you finally stop running and start being, you begin to train your mind. Not for speed, not for noise, but for presence, for peace. So now the question becomes, what if even your worst days, those moments that feel like the universe is testing you, were actually training you? What if hardship isn't punishment, but mental conditioning? Let's find out in the next meditation. Treat challenges as training. In the last meditation, we explored the value of being present, how learning to truly experience the now can sharpen your awareness and soften your stress. But being present isn't always peaceful. Sometimes, what the present brings is difficulty. And here's the truth most people miss. That difficulty is the gym where mental strength is built. Embrace challenges as mental training. There's a common misunderstanding that strength means never being rattled. But Stoicism flips that idea on its head. Strength doesn't mean you're untouched by chaos. It means you can walk through the fire and not become it. Discomfort, as the Stoics saw it, is the training ground for resilience. It's where your potential is tested and forged. A glove that's only ever known warmth, it won't survive the snow. A mind that's only known ease, it collapses at the first sign of pressure. So if you want to become truly strong, not just in theory but in the reality of daily life, then here's the uncomfortable truth. Let yourself be interrupted. Let yourself be misunderstood. Let yourself be disappointed. And still, stay grounded. Let's make it real. Picture this. You've had a long, exhausting day. You're finally doing the dishes, maybe the last thing on your list before bed. Then, someone from your family walks by and casually says, "Make sure to wash them properly this time. There was still grease yesterday." What's your first reaction? Probably annoyance, maybe even a little insult. But what if you didn't see it as an attack? What if instead, you saw it as a test, not a test of your dishwashing technique, but a test of your patience, your discipline, your ego? That single moment becomes a chance to level up, not because you're weak and must endure it, but because you're strong enough to choose not to react. Epictetus said it best, the greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. You won't hear that quote shouted in a pep rally. It's too quiet, too deep. It doesn't need noise. Because anyone who has truly gone through hardship already knows, real glory isn't in the spotlight. It's in the silence and the decision to rise without recognition. Take Kevin, for example, a night shift taxi driver in a big city. He deals with all kinds of passengers, some kind, many rude, a few who don't even pay. But Kevin never raises his voice. He never slams a door or yells into the night. Instead, he has a strange little habit. Anytime something goes wrong, he asks himself quietly, "What is this moment training me for?" One night, a drunk passenger vomited all over the back seat. Kevin didn't yell. He didn't complain. He took a deep breath, drove to the car wash, and handled it. Later, he said to himself, "I just passed a test one with no teacher watching." Since then, every ride has become a lesson. Every rude passenger, every delay, every spilled drink, they're all part of his training. So what about you? What kind of test are you in the middle of right now? Are you reacting like you always do? Or are you seeing it from a higher perspective, a calm one? Here's the truth. If you begin seeing life's little frictions as mental push-ups, the whole day starts to feel different. Traffic isn't a problem, it's training. Interruptions aren't distractions, they're exercises in patience. And pain is your final exam. The only question is, will you pass it? Will you let it break you or build you? Because when you learn how to rise inside the everyday mess, not in some grand dramatic way, but quietly, steadily, you become someone different, someone grounded, someone who grows. In the previous meditation, we uncovered a powerful truth. Pain, though sharp and uncomfortable, is temporary, but the lessons it leaves behind, those can shape your character forever. The question is, will you learn from it, or let it harden you? Number 9. Turn pain into strength. Sometimes the most powerful transformation doesn't come with fanfare, it comes in silence, through self-reflection, through choosing not to numb the pain, but to sit with it and ask, what is this here to teach me? There's something grounding about putting pen to paper, something that a keyboard can't offer. The movement of your hands slows down your thoughts. It doesn't allow you to rush. And in that space, your pain begins to lose its noise and take shape. A man named Alex once shared his story. He lost a significant amount of money after trusting a friend with a business deal that went sour. The betrayal cut deep, not just financially, but emotionally. He was angry, humiliated, disappointed in himself. But instead of trying to forget it or distract himself, he did something different. He sat down every night for a week. He wrote by hand every financial decision he'd made that year. Every moment he ignored a red flag. Every time he said yes when his gut said wait. His anger didn't disappear, but it transformed. That notebook became a mirror, and eventually, a blueprint. 6 months later, he launched a small side venture, this time with more clarity, more patience. He didn't speak much about what happened, but you could feel like the way a building stands stronger after the foundation has been rebuilt. Quiet, steady. The pain didn't become his identity. It became his lesson. So ask yourself this. Will your pain be a period and ending, or dash a turning point? If you're hurting right now, don't rush the process. Don't smother it with distractions. Sit with it, learn from it, then walk through it. Not with urgency, but with intention, with presence. And if you're ready to live this way, to let pain deepen your power, type it in the comments. Stronger, through pain. Let that be your quiet declaration. Number 10. Discipline brings freedom. At 7 a.m. Your alarm rings, you hit snooze. 5 more minutes, then 10. You get up groggy, grab your phone, scroll half-consciously through TikTok. You skip breakfast, rush into the day. Sound familiar? Here's the question. Who's really in charge here? You, or a stream of unconscious habits? It might sound counterintuitive, but the Stoics believed, and neuroscience confirms, that discipline is the path to freedom, not restriction, not rigidity, but real, grounded freedom. We often define freedom as doing whatever I want, but if what you want leads to 4 hours of Netflix, an inbox full of unread mails, and meals eaten out of boredom, that's not freedom. That's being enslaved by impulses. Discipline doesn't mean becoming a machine. It means learning how to tell your mind, no, not now, and yes. Do this even when I don't feel like it. Let's say you promise yourself to read each morning. One day, you're tired. You still open the book. You read just 2 pages. It's not the pages that matter, it's the message. I follow through. I lead myself. Or maybe you wake up 15 minutes early to sit with your thoughts, sip your coffee slowly, and jot down a plan. That one habit becomes a signal. This day doesn't own me. I own it. Nerval once said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." And it's true. If you can't direct yourself, something else will. Your boss, your phone, your cravings, the world. A friend of mine had a 6-figure job and still felt lost, not because the work was overwhelming, but because his life was reactive. Sleeping whenever, spending without thinking, snacking to cope. He didn't lack money, he lacked structure. Everything changed when he committed to just one thing: running. 10 minutes every morning. That small routine reset his whole system. From there, he found his rhythm, rebuilt his diet, and finally felt in control of his choices. The scariest part of stagnation isn't failure. It's not knowing why you're stuck. So ask yourself, what's one small boundary you can set today? Maybe no phone for the first hour. 1 coffee, not 3. 1 moment of silence before you open the news. Small moves, big shifts. Ready to explore the next powerful force for building a strong mind? In the next lesson, we'll talk about how your words shape your world, and why what you say, especially to yourself, may be the most important habit of all. Previously, we saw how discipline sets the foundation for freedom, but real transformation happens when you stop talking about what matters and start living it. Number 11. Be an example, not just a talker. We've all said the right things before. Stay calm. Be grateful. Focus on what you can control. But pause before you speak those words again. Ask yourself, am I living that way, or just preaching it? The truth is, it's easier to sound wise than to live wisely. Anyone can share a quote, repost an inspiring video, or tell others how to live. But who are you when no one's looking? When you're alone in traffic, or waiting in line, or being misunderstood by someone you love? You can tell your kids to stay off their phones, but if you spend 3 hours scrolling TikTok at night, what are they really learning? You can encourage your friends to be authentic, but if every morning you dress up in a version of yourself that fits someone else's expectations, are you really showing up with integrity? The gap between what we say and how we live is often bigger than we care to admit, and it's in that gap where trust, respect, and impact are lost. I once witnessed something that changed the way I see this forever. At a crowded coffee shop, a man in his 50s was waiting patiently in line. A young schoolgirl behind him accidentally dropped her wallet. Without making a scene or even looking around, he bent down, picked it up, handed it back, and smiled. No need for a thank you. No expectation of praise. Just quiet decency. It was such a simple act. Almost no one noticed. But I did. And it stayed with me. That's the power of a life lived with quiet integrity. A man like that doesn't need to preach. He leads without words. Stoicism doesn't push you to become a public speaker. It invites you to become living proof. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." So how do you do that? You don't need grand gestures or dramatic sacrifices. You start small. Wash the dishes without being asked. Text first, even when your pride resists. Show up on time because you respect others, not because you fear judgment. Clean your table after eating out even if the staff will handle it later. These aren't extraordinary actions, but when done consistently, they become your character. They become your example. And someone is always watching. A child, a sibling, a co-worker, even a stranger in the crowd. What are you teaching them? Not with your words, but with how you carry yourself each day. You see, you don't need to be perfect to be a role model. You just need to be honest and consistent. So the next time you feel tempted to tell someone how to live, pause. Ask yourself, am I living that way first? If yes, speak gently. If not, let your actions speak louder than anything you could say. Because here's the truth. People forget what you say, but they never forget how your presence made them feel. And if that speaks to you, if you're ready to be a quiet force in the world, follow this channel. Not for entertainment, but for reminders. The kind that keep you aligned with the version of yourself you're proud to be. And now we turn to the next great barrier, the illusion of perfection. The idea that you have to wait until you're ready, skilled or flawless before you begin. But what if that delay is the very thing keeping you stuck? Let's talk about it. Next. Previously, we explored the importance of embodying the principles we advocate, emphasizing that actions speak louder than words. Now, let's delve into the concept of perfectionism and how it can hinder our progress. Number 12. Don't wait for perfection. Perfect and often masquerades as diligence, but in reality, it can be a form of procrastination. We convince ourselves that we're preparing, refining, or optimizing when in fact, we're delaying action due to fear of failure or judgment. Consider the story of Thomas, who aspired to teach online. He spent 6 months selecting the perfect microphone, then got entangled in choosing the right lighting. When asked, "Have you filmed anything yet?" he replied, "I'm waiting for my new background to arrive." His meticulous preparation was, in truth, fear disguised as readiness. One day, his phone ran out of storage, prompting him to record a quick 3-minute video using the front camera, with no edits. Ironically, that impromptu clip became his most shared video ever. This illustrates that starting imperfectly is better than not starting at all. As Seneca wisely stated, while we wait for life, life pauses. Time doesn't pause for us to perfect our plans. It moves forward regardless. Waiting for the perfect moment often results in missed opportunities. To combat perfectionism, adopt the 80% rule. If you're 80% ready, begin. The remaining 20% will come through experience and adaptation. This principle, rooted in the Pareto principle, suggests that 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. By focusing on initiating tasks rather than perfecting them, we make tangible progress. Start small. Write 2 lines, read 1 paragraph, or run for 5 minutes. These modest beginnings can lead to significant achievements over time. Remember, messy starts are still starts, and they pave the way for growth and improvement. Perfection is an illusion that keeps us stagnant. Action, even if imperfect, propels us forward. Embrace the process, learn from mistakes, and continue. Moving every morning offers a new opportunity to reset, to train our minds, and to live intentionally. If this message resonates with you, consider liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your insights contribute to our collective journey toward intentional living. Subscribe for more content that encourages grounded, purposeful, and inspiring Stoic principles. A new morning can start with a single right thought, and your life it can start again today.